to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope, the real Sports Scope here. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 19th day, Thursday here. Got a good game on tonight. Well, it's kind of good, I guess. I'd rather this game be played now than December. I'll tell you, it's not two great teams. The Jets and the Patriots will play tonight. Give you my thoughts here in just a few minutes. And wow, Shohei Ohtani, red hot tonight. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. Kudos to Shohei Ohtani. But tonight, 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. I mean, this dude is off the hook. I'll talk about him a little bit after the break. But also, NFL, these rookies, quarterbacks have not thrown a touchdown in 2 games. I'll talk about that. Michael Jordan, finally, folks, he finally sold that house after being on the market 12 years. I think that is a lesson learned, and I'll talk about that as well. Adrian Wojciechowski, he's leaving the NBA media. Didn't get to those stories yesterday, although I know they had been out. So let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here after a few announcements, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. To get the National Streaming Sports channel on your Roku TV, channel search National Streaming Sports. There's the channel search in Roku. There's our logo right on the right, NESSP. Tap on the logo and it will add to your TV, the channel to your TV. On your laptop, tablet, and mobile phone, download the free Roku app and channel search just like above. If you don't have Roku TV, you have to order a Roku device from the Roku store, hook it up to your smart TV, and bang, you have Roku TV. Again, channel search, National Streaming Sports, click on our NESSP logo, and add the channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Oh, all righty then. Almost gave you that commercial again. Now, let's see where to start. Since the game's coming up here shortly, we'll go ahead and talk about that Jets and Jets-Pats game. Patriots a little bit better than I thought they were. Almost a 2-0 team. Went to overtime against Seattle on Sunday. Jacoby Brissett looking feasible as a starter here. Not a bad start for them. Jets, of course, somebody made the point online today, and I didn't even really think about it. The Jets have had 3 games in 10 days. This is their 3rd game in 10 days. Remember, they played that Monday night game, and then they had the short week here in Nashville. Back home, this is their home opener at East Rutherford, playing against the Patriots. I still think they're going to play well tonight. I like how that offensive line came for as blocked for Aaron Rodgers. Breece Hall, 30-year player. I mean, man, he is a really good get for the Jets. But the Jets don't really have, Jermaine Johnson's out. And, of course, that's a pass rusher down. Not to mention Hassan Reddick has not signed yet. So that's another game check for him. I'm thinking Jets too. I'm thinking Jets here. I actually think this will go over. Now, the over and under is only 38 points. Pickles. As I was saying earlier, folks, I'm glad that this actually went. They're putting this game in September, not in January. I think it would be like watching paint dry. I'd rather watch the stairs that outside of my apartment just got painted dry than watch this game in December where Rodgers might not be in there. So it'll be somewhat watchable per se. But I'm thinking 24-17 Jets. They go over that 38. They hit the 41 points. And, of course, I like the running backs in this game. Breece Hall and, of course, Stevenson, both to get a touchdown. But we'll see. We shall see. And the Jets will be 2-1, and the Patriots will be 1-2, which I thought they probably should be 0-3. But, hey, they look somewhat better than I initially thought they would look. So, and the fact that the Jets has played those 3 games, I don't know, in 10 days, that may work against it. But you start, if Rodgers stays upright, Rodgers versus Jacoby Brissett, they're going to be able to move the ball on this Patriot team, in my opinion, even though the Patriots also have some injuries on their O-line, but the Jets' pass rush is getting whittled down. So that's why I think it'll be somewhat of a higher scoring game, in air quote. Not a high scoring game, just a mid-level. Remember last year, this game was like, 6-3 or something like that? I mean, just a god-awful throwback game. So that's my thoughts on Thursday night football. As you've heard me say 1,000 times, this is 1,001. Not a big fan of Thursday night. Ideally, do it the first night of the season. I love that Kansas City-Baltimore game, and do it on Thanksgiving. Other than that, no Thursday night games for me, okay? Maybe do it after the bye weeks. I just don't like it. The players seem just a little bit off on these games, personally, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on that. Again, listen, I'm not a big baseball guy, but when you have a feat like what happened tonight, you just got to take your hat. If I had a hat, I would take it off, Pickles. Shohei Ohtani was 6 for 6 tonight, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 2 more stolen bases, 17 TB. I don't even know what that means. I think that means 17 total bases, which now makes him, I did not know this. And it's nice weather up in East Rutherford. Yeah, Pickles said that. Shohei Ohtani, mind you, folks, he didn't even pitch this year because he was coming off surgery. So he's did a lot of this doing the DH and whatnot. This guy's got 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. And like a lot of you, I thought maybe Bonds had this record, or an Alfonso Soriano may have had this record, someone like that. Or obviously a King Griffey Jr., but that's not the case. That's not the case. Shohei Ohtani, they're leading their division. I think they're second in the NL as far as best record. I want to say Philadelphia's got the best record in the NL. If they could top it off and win a ring. This guy's arguably one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And who would have thought, who would have thought? In case you're wondering, the 40-40 club was off the charts back in the day. And think about this. Think about these names linked to the steroid era. Linked to, I'm not accusing. Jose said, yeah, I took them and stuck a bunch of other guys too. Canseco, 1988. He was part of the 40 home runs, 40 stolen base club. He had a great year that year. I want to say he won the MVP. That was a great year, great team. I love that. I remember having a shirt of the Oakland A's back in the day. And, of course, 1998, Mariners. I forgot about A-Rod. That girl I was dating at the time, she said she would leave me for A-Rod if he asked her out. My high school sweetheart. I thought, well, he's kicking butt in Seattle and had all that money. I don't blame you. If I were you, I'd probably leave me too. Now, Bonds in 96 with the Giants. So I thought Bonds would have these. But Bonds on 90, Pickle says Ron Acuna. And of course, that's on this list from last year. And Alfonso Soriano, I really thought Soriano would get that in 06. I remember following that throughout the year. And, of course, he did not. So nobody got the 50-50 club except for, Shohei Ohtani. So, I mean, little bitty guys, not the biggest guy. And we're in an era now where people are being tested like nobody's business for steroids or HGH or anything of that nature. So kudos to Ohtani. Remember earlier this year, he had an issue with the interpreter, and I thought maybe he might have been linked to that gambling scandal, and it sounded very fishy. There's no proof. He's out. The interpreter lost those millions of dollars or whatever, and they're supposedly prosecuting the guy, and the guy makes the transition pretty cleanly. And so far, he looks like a good signing for the LA Dodgers. He really does. He looks like a good signing there. Anybody does that in a feat like that in sports. And like I said, Pickles, if you guys didn't hear it, 6 for 6 tonight. I mean, this guy's in his zone. 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. If you're the Dodgers, you want the playoffs to start right now. Who's playing good now? And that goes to what my argument's always been. I'm already in NFL season. I mean, we've got major college football games that have been played. We got a big one this weekend, and now we're in week 3 in the NFL. And a huge weekend tomorrow. Make sure and tune in. We'll be talking about the Saints and, of course, Eagles tomorrow, Cowboys, Ravens. I mean, big games coming up Sunday, folks, in the NFL. That's just to name a few. I want to say Minnesota's got a big game as well. Pittsburgh and the Chargers. I mean, we have massive games coming up in the NFL this weekend. And baseball is just now simmering down towards the end. I guess my whole point is, like I said it, and I'll say it till I get blue in the face, baseball needs a start. College starts in February, okay? It needs to start about March the 1st, and they need to shave about 20 games off, and we should have already had the World Series done around Labor Day weekend. Around Labor Day weekend is when the World Series should start, and this whole thing should have already been done. The pennant races should be done by the end of July. There's nothing going on in July. No NFL, no NBA. It's so stupid of these hard-headed owners here. We would be all up in some baseball if we just had no NFL and some college games to worry about. Baseball would be the center point. People just don't get that, But that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. That's my prerogative. I do what I want to do. Like Bobby Brown used to sing. Great song there. All righty then. Pro Sports Greed. Yeah, it's so much greed, man. I mean, geez. What's best for the TV product, folks? Now, that being said, you do get a lot of deals with baseball versus the other sports. You know, the best deal I got in New York City was going to the Yankee game, $8 bleacher seats in 2002. And that was a great team, too. Great team there. And I hated them, and I was so glad they got beat by the Blue Jays that day. Don't tell Keith Angle. I'm going to get Keith Angle on. Big Yankees fan, big college football guy. Here in the next few weeks, I want to get Keith on when we've got big games coming up. When Ohio State plays Oregon, those kind of games. The weekend of Texas and Georgia, those kind of games, and get his analysis on those particular games. But he's also a Yankees fan. But, man, I hated that 0-2 Yankee team. Oh, man. But anyways, okay. A story I wanted to talk about earlier this week, and I got sidetracked on some other things. And, you know, I cook more things through the oven now than I ever have before. I use my microwave. I used to use it to heat up pizza and everything. I just do my oven. I like my food to be done. I'm looking at this instant oatmeal I've been eating here lately. I will use that for a microwave. I'm a big maple and brown sugar fan myself. I'll use the microwave for that. But, you know, stuff this tastes better out of the oven and not rushed. And we're in this microwave society, folks. You know, I mean, I'm looking at, and I thought I screenshotted this thing. But basically, folks, in a nutshell, and I did screenshot this, 3 starting quarterbacks that are rookies in the NFL. All right. You got Jalen Daniels, all that offense there with Cliff Kingsbury, Clever. This guy had, 54 touchdowns at LSU last year. He's with the Commanders. And, of course, you had Caleb Williams. I've never seen a player have so many good players around him. Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore is probably the best one of the 3 with Cole Kmet, well above our average offensive line, pass catching running back, just everything he could ask for other than an offensive-minded head coach, and that's what I've been talking about in a preseason coming up from going back to the hard knocks. And then you have who's the other one there? Who is the other rookie quarterback? Am I missing out here? And then you have, oh, Lord. See, that's why Bo Nix, of course. Bo Nix, who had, with the Denver Broncos, who had the absolute best preseason training camp. Mark Schlereth had some touchdowns in preseason. None of those players have thrown a touchdown in the first 2 games. And this is from NFL.com. In April of the NFL saw 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first 12 picks through 2 weeks. The group, which included 3 in week 1 starters, has yet to throw a touchdown pass. Rookie quarterbacks set record with 0 touchdown passes on 196 combined attempts. Did you hear that, folks? This is unbelievable. Rookie quarterbacks set record with 0 touchdown passes on 196 combined attempts. And now we're in a league where you're throwing the ball all over the place, folks. We're in the league where you can't slam them down on the ground and break their neck. We're in a league where you can't clothesline and stuff, you know? And the record has been set. That's a problem. You know? That is what I've been talking about on here for the last couple weeks since this season started. They don't want to practice. You're playing these rookies that you want to play on day 1. You're playing them a quarter, 2 or 3, as if they are seasoned veterans like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Now, I noticed that as good as this Chiefs teams has been, I noticed that Patrick Mahomes has played every preseason, at least once. He's got valuable time in the preseason. Patrick Mahomes, 2-time Super Bowl winner back-to-back. He's, 3 total, but, he's got back-to-back. And he's getting his playing time in. But as I've mentioned before, no rookie. And you can fact check this, folks. Jim Jeffcoat tried to fact check me years ago and said Dan Marino made it as a rookie to the Super Bowl. And I said, no, Jim, that was his second year. His rookie year was 83. It wasn't 84. 83, I think Pickles was at Washington, then Redskins and the Raiders. It was not the Dolphins. It was not the Dolphins, So the Dolphins made it in 84, 85. I think they got beat up by the 49ers, excuse me. Then 85, 86, that was your Bears. But no rookie has made it to the Super Bowl. Now, you've got a bunch of second-year guys, and Tom Brady did not play his rookie year, and he said it was a good thing. Tom Brady, Mr. Workaholic, he says, listen, it was a good thing for me to learn under Drew Bledsoe, in 2000. He said, I really – and not only – and you've got a lot of guys – the injury report, folks, it's crazy this year. I mean, the 49ers are not going to have any skill players. And neither will the Rams, by the way. That'll be a game, a battle of attrition right there. But the game of who the heck is that guy? George Kittle might not play. We already know Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp's not going to play. We know that Debo on the other side's not going to play. I don't know who. And all those injuries, that's going to be a game where you just hope Stafford don't get hurt. I digress. But my thing is, I've been saying this, and I'm a person, I'm in a hurry all the time. I'm a caffeine guy. I'm a high energy guy. But there's more and more proof, even with the amount of starts that these players now have accumulated at the collegiate level, it's just better to let them sit that year. And I know that goes against a lot of what we've been taught because of the NFL having that quarterback on that rookie contract. You don't want to waste any time. You want to rush it through because you're not paying him the big money the rookie year. Year 2, year 3, year 4, he's going to want to get paid if he's playing good. And then the 5th-year option, that does jump up. And, of course, after that, you got to make a decision where you really want to pay this guy or not. But during that time, you've seen teams – build up around these players and get to the Super Bowl, in some cases win the Super Bowl, as of recently. But I just think, I know Jordan Love was kind of a different situation, but he did sit a few years. I don't think you have to sit 2 and 3, but at least a year. Mahomes sat under Alex Smith, Roethlisberger was just going to sit under Maddox, But he did come in and he played well. There are outliers. C.J. Stroud's an outlier. Andrew Luck is an outlier. People say, what about Peyton Manning? Yeah, Peyton Manning had about 30 interceptions that first year. But if you listen to Brady, you not only are you preparing for an opponent every week, and you're going through the motions of that, you're also you're learning how this player deals with. There's certain injuries that you get as quarterback that people don't even think. I had Kevin Carroll on the program. Coach Carroll there. Last night we were talking about Quinn Ewers. He's got an ab injury. How did he get that? I don't know. But when you're throwing a football, you got men running at you wide open with those big, strong guys that are, you're 200-something pounds. You got a guy about 280, quick as a cat, strong, and you're throwing one way and his arm's going another way. You could get hurt, you can get banged up. Stafford gets his arms banged up. So you see how they deal with the injuries. You see how they film study. You see how you can't simulate all that in the preseason because you're not getting, two Rams starting O-lines out. Yeah, Rams have a bunch of, and then you've got Arch Manning's going to be playing this weekend, and what the point I was trying to get at with Arch Manning that I didn't get to yesterday, I got sidetracked because talking with Kevin. But what I was getting at, the Arch Manning, the write-up from the NFL scouts on Arch Manning was he could be picked today, number 1 pick. And I said that because Trevor Lawrence won a national championship. Excuse me. Trevor Lawrence won a national championship his freshman year in college, and the same write-up was about him. Now Trevor Lawrence is looking at a player that's overrated, and this is his 4th year in the NFL. Okay, so it's good even for great players to sit that year under a seasoned vet, even though they're probably more talented than that seasoned vet. That was a knock on Justin Fields. That Nick Foles said, listen, I tried to talk to this and mentor this young man, and he wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen to me. And this is from a guy who won a Super Bowl. From a guy who's won a Super Bowl. Now, I understand you put the guy in, and then you put the vet in, the vet gets hurt, and you put the rookie in. But ideally, you want that guy to sit you want him to set that whole season, go through all the emotions from week 1 to week 17 with the injuries, the film study, different defenses in real time, and talking to the quarterback coach. And well, they have their quarterback. We've got all this access now. They have the quarterback meeting room. You got 3 guys there, now. Used to be 2, now it's 3 in the regular season, which is good. They don't want a situation like we've had with the 49ers. And it's a big jump from year 1 to year 2. I just think it is. And even if year 1 is actual year 2 of the player plan, it just seems like the guy's more poised to have more of a successful career. You want to have them with the good line, with good everything that Caleb Williams has, other than getting his college coach Lincoln Riley, like I said, bringing him up. But he's freelancing like nobody's business. He's playing like an overrated player right now. So Pickles, you might be right. He might be a bust, but probably should be sitting. You got Bryce Young sitting. I thought last year maybe they should just sit him. Let him sit under. Andy Dalton would gladly take him under his wing. Dalton's older. He's his career's done, just about. He's made his money as a starter and as a backup, for that matter. And he's a pretty solid player. He's not super talented, but I'm sure he's a guy that a young quarterback can learn from. So just saying, rushing them. And look at him, none of them. And I was for sure that Daniels was going to get something playing the Giants or playing Tampa, because Tampa had their issues in the secondary. And Cliff Kingsbury's pretty creative, but no touchdowns. Nope, no touchdown passes. And again, also the fact that the practices are limited, padded practices limited. They're not playing them in the preseason. What do you expect them to do, There's got to be something to that. And Pickle says he played pretty well against Houston. Houston's got a good defense. I'll have to give it to him there. He did some pretty good dump. Sometimes the dump down is the best play. The dump down is the best play. He's got a good insurance policy there with Swift and with Cole Kmet. He don't have to wear out those receivers all the time. Cole Kmet can get open. Ask Justin Fields. That's why they signed him to another contract. All righty, then. So that's my take there on rookies. Let them sit. And I know for somebody that likes to rush through everything, people are surprised that I said that. But it's true. Okay. Interesting story. Michael Jordan's in the news this week here, folks. I wanted to read this story the other day, and I just didn't get a chance to. TMZ Sports, Michael Jordan finally finds a buyer for his $15 million mansion. Listen to this story out of TMZ Sports, and everybody's talking about it, of course. I'm just telling you who I'm getting it for. So Jordan finally found a buyer for his $15 million mansion in the Chicago suburb after sitting on the market, folks, for 12 years. 12 years. Check out this square footage. 56,000 square feet. You know, I was okay with the starter home being 1,200 square feet, you know. I lived in a studio apartment that was 100 square feet. So this house was 56,000 square feet and is currently listed as a contingent and indicating the would-be buyer have a deal, but it's contingent upon several conditions, being the property is located in Highland Park, Illinois. It's got a bunch of amenities, including an iconic number 23 gate, 9 bedrooms and 19 bathrooms. Now, last I checked, Jordan didn't have that many kids, you know, not unless he's got some that I don't know about. 9 bedrooms. Why do you need 19 bathrooms? You know, a cigar room, a library. And there's so many pop-ups on this stage. A cigar room, a library, you know, an indoor gym, and of course, a full-size basketball court. Let me say this. I'll defend the basketball court. Jordan started, he's losing money on this property, by the way. He started building this property in 93. And he spent about $50 million between 93 and 95 building this thing, you know. And he was in his early 30s. He was racking up on championships at the time. And that's all ego. That's all ego. So you look at it, and as far as the indoor gym and the basketball court, I get that because I was watching some interviews back in the 90s, not in the last day. It's actually in the 90s with Jordan. And he says, you know, I could not go to the mall back in the day. I could not go to the Y or anything like that without getting mobbed with people. So I understand that aspect of it, the gym and whatnot. But all that other stuff, the 7-acre lot with the infinity pool and all that nonsense, it was featured on Travis Scott's music video franchise. And, of course, it was finally got finished in 1995. And the listed price was $14 million. When you add the digits, it's a huge drop from the original asking price was $29 million. So he has been trying to sell it, and he sold it for $15 million, less than what he originally asked for it, but he put 50 into it. And I say all this stuff. I say all this as someone that's older now, and Pickles is saying, that's what I said. That's what I said, Pickles. That's exactly what I said. So, my understanding, nobody was living in this house. This is a good teachable moment for young folks, for these young athletes. And now Jordan's got it. You know, he just sold the Charlotte Hornets for $3 billion. I mean, he's fine. But look at the money that is milking. You know, look at not just the property tax. Think about the yard work for something like that. Think about, I'm sure he's had the electricity on so people can watch it, or people can, you know, realtors can show people the property. You know, you think about the upkeep, roof pressure wash, gutter issues, all that maintenance is money, just soaking money, just spending it like nobody's business, and it's reminded me of just play. I'm sure he looks back and thinks, I didn't need all that. I didn't need all that crap, I couldn't even find a buyer to buy the thing. But it makes me think about, I was watching the TLC documentary over the summer, the famous group TLC. And for those of you older audiences, you remember Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC. She was dating Andre Rising in the 90s, the wide receiver for the Falcons. When they first started dating, she said in an interview, during this interview I saw all the summer, which was back then, she tragically died in a car accident in 2001, I think, or might have been early 2002. But she says, had this big, nice house and no other person in that house, Andre Rison, and no woman. Excuse me, he had nobody else that lived in there, and he had hardly any furniture in there. So the HVAC is and I've had a pretty good sized house one time when I was trying to renovate it, and I was upset that my light bill was like $350. And she got mad. She got mad at him. I guess he was cheating on her or something, and burned that house down. Burn that mansion down. And she got in trouble for it. She got an arson charge. You could look that up. Lisa burns out Andre Rison's house in Atlanta, and she got an arson charge for that. Got some probation. I mean, she was okay, but and then of course later he was featured on the ESPN 30 for 30 called Broke. And I didn't mean that to come out like that. It just came out like that. So stuff like this. I was watching another documentary, and thinking about my own situation. Like I lost some money on a house. It wasn't nothing like them, but I just think about that. There's a documentary called The Minimalist. And this guy's about my age, middle age, maybe a little older than me, mid-40s, mid or to late 40s. And he was talking about just decluttering his house and downsizing. And he wasn't an older guy, But my thing is, and I do know some of these guys like Philip Rivers, he got seven kids. Okay, go ahead and get the 7-bedroom if you're going to stay there. But if you've got 2 kids, I mean, the kids get the bedroom, you and the wife get the bedroom, maybe one guest bedroom, and that's it. But doing these 40, 50,000 square foot houses, and I don't know why the advisors don't tell these players, maybe they're just too hard-headed to listen, that you got to pay taxes on that every single year. And you got to pay the light bill on that every single year. And I've noticed this too, by the way. I don't know if you all noticed this, but I've noticed this, that players, people in general are not big on aquariums now. A friend of mine used to work for an aquarium cleaner company, and he used to clean one of the Titans aquariums. And that is major upkeep. That's major upkeep. I was reading, and I used to look up to these guys. I mean, you had your lifestyles of your rich and famous. You had your MTV Cribs, and all that is vanity. I mean, yeah, you can have a nice place, but to buy all that extra, and looking back when you get older and you're thinking, well, I don't need all this crap, you think about all these people who come into money, whether they did earn it, sometimes they did earn it, or they won it or whatnot, and then you see them pass it down to their kids, and then all of a sudden you read that the houses are foreclosed on, and money's being lost and whatnot. I just think that it's just it's overkill, and I'm sure Jordan himself saying, "Man, I shouldn't have done all that." Jordan at 60 looking back at Jordan at 31 thinking, yeah, if I had it to do over with, I'd have cut that thing in about 4 different slices, you know, and maybe it had only a part of it. So he probably, I ain't no telling what he actually lost, about 35 million on that. You know, so it's one of those teachable moments, if you ask me. Yeah, Lisa left out. Burn that dude's big old giant mansion. She said it had no furniture in it. He was all this show off. Let me just, you know, who would want to live in a house like that? That would freak me out. And, you know, I think about the movie The Shining and how big that place was. Can you imagine Michael Jordan going into that giant 50,000 square foot house and it's just him by himself sleeping there? You know, that's kind of creepy if you ask me. I wouldn't like it, you know, and I'm sure I would like to interview him and see, or somebody ask him, man, what do you think about all that crap now? I bet he's thinking that's just too much hustle, too much hassle. You know, I've read that he lives in Carolina. He's got a place down in Florida. He's got places everywhere. But he's got to keep up with all that. I don't know. I guess he has a team of people to be able to do that. But anyways, also Adrian Wojciechowski, another sport media story here. The big newsbreaker for ESPN. I mean, I tell you what, this guy, he's the best. You know, I want to say he's 55 years old, working ESPN since 17, but he's been around for about a good 25, 30 years. You know, he graduated. He's retired from ESPN, you know, he's the big insider that makes all the NBA stories. He's better than Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter wanted to be Adrian Wojciechowski, and he is going to take this is interesting. He's going to take a general manager job at St. Bonaventure's basketball program. Now, obviously that's a college team. Why do you need a general manager on a college team? He graduated back in 91 of the Western New York School. And I look at this and said, you know, this guy worked at Yahoo Sports and everything, and had that job. And him and I think it was Adam Schefter talking about it the other day, and they were saying when you're trying to be the best at this job with breaking news, you have to have the phone there in the shower. You're going on vacation, you got to carry this phone with you. And if you're on a vacation and some kind of crazy trade happens and LeBron gets moved or you know, KD gets moved or something, you got to be the man on top of that. And I look at that, and that's another teachable moment there that people are afraid to lead. Now, he's made millions. I mean, like 20s and 30s, you know, pretty hardworking guy. And now he's wanting to go into a different role, getting out of the media side and going into the college manager side. I guess maybe he wants to work towards maybe being an NBA executive, perhaps, or maybe being an AD type of person for the college game, St. Bonaventure, where he went to school. I don't know but he's wanting to get involved in that. And I look at the fact that people see his age and think, well, you know, is he too old to do that? And I'm from the light of, you know, I started this sports talk venture after chasing money and stuff I really like to do just to get the money. Speaking of real estate, being a realtor, going into small business and security companies and whatnot. And I decided at 36, 7 years ago, to start pursuing this, you know, play the long game in this. And people are afraid to switch careers later on. Now, he's 55 now. Of course, he's got plenty of money and he's got a reputation. But I think it's pretty cool that he's doing it. You know, I think he got bored with it, and plus, I believe that Woj. I think he can feel the competition from other guys wanting to do it. There's a younger guy that's supposedly going to get his job. This guy named Sean Sharamia. And he's worked with the Athletic. He's a younger guy in his late 20s there. He's supposed to be the next Woj. And he's a guy that he's watched my show back on Periscope a couple of times. And I thanked him for watching. And, of course, he didn't say nothing back. But he's supposedly going to be in line to take that job, you know. And I think I like to read stories like that where people are not afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And he's still in his own so-called career, his love of the game of basketball, you know. But he's taking a turn now, you know. He's going to take a turn and get involved in another side of it. I don't know. Maybe that'll lead into coaching. I think I can see him going into the Sam Presti type of, you know, could be, because think about, he knows all the players. He knows which ones are, I won't use the word lazy, but difficult per se. He knows the ones that got the good work ethic. He knows the ones that are coachable. He knows the ones that are not coachable. He'd be pretty good if he wanted to go work this way into the NBA route of things. I think he would be pretty good as far as being a potential future general manager. You know, I mentioned quarterbacks early, and we were all shocked a few years ago. I want to say it's about 5 years ago now that Andrew Luck abruptly retired from the NFL. And he was like 31. He was in his prime. We was all thinking he's going to win a few Super Bowls and finally get it together, you know, because he came in like a house of fire. But there was about 2 years ago, he went back to Stanford, and he's looking to get into coaching. Now, he might be a great coach. He's been low-key about it. He's taking his time. He's not trying to take the fast track. But keep an eye out for Andrew Luck going into coaching and maybe really good at it someday, like a good college coach. You know, maybe be like a Jim Harbaugh. Remember, he started off at was it San Diego State, and then he worked his way up to Stanford. He worked his way up to Stanford, and of course now we know where he's at. He went to the NFL and then back to college and back to the NFL. So I think it's fun. Yeah, Andrew Luck, he had a lot of injuries, but also I think he still wanted to stay with the game though. He's getting he's working at Stanford right now, working to get into coaching, learning that side of things, and he's not rushing it, and he's not making everything about him. He's a pretty to be such a talented player. I thought Luck was a pretty modest guy. You know, he never come off as a me guy. The world revolves around me. He's opposite of a guy like Will Levis, 20 times more talent, but the total opposite of a guy like a Will Levis. As I mentioned earlier in the program, we've got a boatload of injuries this weekend. I think a lot of this is because more and more, it's just my opinion, but I think a lot of these injuries are because they're doing less and less hitting and training camp. It's finally caught up with the Browns. You know, they don't like to play any starters in the preseason, plus the no training camp hits. And man, they got a boatload of injuries. You know, it just really seems like that. Like I said, George Kittle might not play. Deebo Samuel, we know, is not going to play. Christian McCaffrey, we know, is not going to play. Those Rams, they've got tackles out and everything else. Puka Nacua is not going to play. Cooper Kupp's not going to play. Last week, Tyler Higbee, their tight end's not going. I don't know. I just think there's a little bit more to it than that many injuries. There's got to be something else to it, like the players are just not in proper shape. You're just giving in to them too much. Don't turn this into the NBA, you know? Do not turn this thing into the NBA. Yeah, here's what Adam Scheffner puts out. Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Steve Alava, Jonah Jackson, all likely going to be without. I mean, that is crazy stuff. And then I mentioned Brandon Ayuk's missed most of camp, and he looks like he's not in very good shape, you know. But Houston will play Minnesota this weekend. So you've got some really good matchups. And we will talk about that one as well. And very well, I mean, C.J. Stroud, I mean, it's only 2 weeks in. That guy's got a shot to win the MVP if he keeps on doing what he's doing. Training camp's soft, and they're pampered athletes. That's what Jimmy Johnson mentioned the other day. It was an interview. He says, you know, they were asking him about the Saints. Why the Saints so good? He said, well, they've got a lot of the same players back. You know, there's some continuity. They've got a wrinkle on their offense. He says, but these other teams had so many new players, you just don't know because they're not playing together they're not practicing that much now. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's true. I read his book. Now, he's ticked me off. He didn't want to come on the program, but even I worked with one of his guys for years, Jim Jeffcoat, to play for him, help him win the Super Bowl, you know. But he was big on not taking linemen early. He was big on getting guys that can score touchdowns. And now you look at guys, general manager like former Steve Klein, former Arizona Cardinal general manager. He says the hardest thing to find in this league nowadays is a left tackle. And he says it's the most valuable non-quarterback. He says, why are we paying them $22, $25 million? He says, because the drop-off is tremendous. He says it is tremendous. We have to change everything when we lose a left tackle. And not to mention that, you know, Trent Williams missed most of camp too. You know, like I said, 49ers lucky not to be 0-2. But my point with Jimmy Johnson was, with the two-a-days and all the hitting they did back then in the early 90s, he can get these guys work in. He can get more continuity in from the tackle position, the offensive line, those tackles and whatnot. And he's had some good ones. He's got some good. Who was it? Larry Allen, whatnot. So had some Hall of Fame level guys there, and they wasn't considered to be all world guys. You know, they wouldn't. Orlando Pace coming out of college. You know, Pace was number 1 pick overall one year. You know, you've had a lot of tackles go number 1, number 2, and whatnot. But I think maybe he would probably lean more into the talent of a lineman and probably spend more money on an offensive lineman than perhaps before. And coaching, he mentioned, is a big deal for that group, you know. And that's why I think you got a team like the Titans here, who, by the way, Jordan Love has been practicing. Titans one of the best defensive starts ever, and best defense in the league yard-wise, second week in a row. You know, really good clean pocket there, and you got a quarterback that cannot make plays, you know. So it puts more pressure when you got more data. When you got more data on like we do with the Pro Football Focus and all them studies and all the film out here now, for the team to have more pressure to change quarterbacks when all the other aspects of the game are clicking pretty good, especially the offensive line when they've got a rookie at left tackle, but he's playing pretty well. He's got a very good coach there, and Bill Callahan, you know. So, and Dan Campbell mentioned that. He mentioned that he wants his guys hitting early and often. And by the way, he's moving. Speaking of houses, a lot of housing news in the sports world. He's moving out of his house in Detroit because people was hassling him about the way he's handling these games between last year and the NFC Championship game, the way he's managed this past game that they lost. Too many. It got leaked out where he lives. People are hassling him at his house, which I think is stupid. So he's moving out of his house, and you just hate to see a guy in a story like that fall by the wayside. I still think they got a good shot at the Super Bowl. I think they'll fix some things up. But Brad Holmes really built that team. That's the general manager there, Brad Holmes. If they do mess up for some reason, if the Lions do, come up short in the playoffs, because he does some boneheaded play where he does a fake punt on his own inside his own 10-yard line, and that's the difference in them getting to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl again. I could see people calling for him to move off of him, because I know that Aaron Glenn's backside of that defense is just not that good. Now, Hutchinson's making them all look good with those sacks he's getting up front, But I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to adjust, and I think he's going to, people were mad at him because the way he handled the clock at the end of the first half, going back to that Tampa game last week. And he had an easy field goal. They lost by 4. If you kick that field goal at halftime, it's a 1-point game, and then Detroit's pressing to get, they're pressing to, overcome a 1-point game with the field goal, other than trying to get a touchdown and overcome a 4-point game. Pickle says Danielle Hunter is going to get, he's going to go back up there, visit Divine. That's going to be a really good game. That's going to be a really good game. That could go the other way. I think Houston will win it, but well of a job there by O'Connell there, the head coach for Minnesota. I forgot the fact that Addison's out. Jefferson got hurt in that game against the 49ers at the end. They still won that game. And Hutchinson's been out. I think Hutchinson's on IR to the first 4 weeks. That's the tight end. So, Darnold don't have a lot to throw to up there in Minnesota. But I'm going to have to go back and revisit that and see if Justin Jefferson's going to play. I don't know if he's got that bad of injury or not. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he won't. But, we'll see. We'll see. Houston's had some pretty tight games. I mean, they had a 2-point game against the Colts, and then it was just a 6-point game against the Bears. So we'll have to see. O'Connell can do more with less. O'Connell can do more and less than just about anybody. Pickle says it's social media is anti-social. Yeah, I hate that about Dan Campbell, but, he does have to, not coach so reckless, man. He's got a good team here. They got a shot to make history in Detroit, and he's got to get it together, man. He's definitely got the horses to do so. So we'll be breaking down them games tomorrow. Myself and Carlos, Mad New Yorker Chavez. He's been great here. Fridays have been awesome. So tune in. I know that a lot of you go out to eat and everything on Friday nights, but, when you're coming back, just put on Sports Scope. Or Saturday morning, we'll give you. We'll talk about our top 5 games, and Pickles had Minnesota beat 49ers, and so did myself, and so did the Mad New Yorker. And at one point, the 49ers were 6-point favorites in that game. So we're pretty good at this stuff, folks. So we're not bad. We're a good group of guys here that really take this stuff pretty serious, and we have fun doing so. So if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same place, folks, here on the Real Sports Scope. Good night, everybody.